My name is Michael Winters, 42, former senior financial analyst at what was once America's most innovative energy corporation. I spent 8 years of my life at Titan Energy, watching its meteoric rise and catastrophic fall. This is my story of corporate greed, elaborate deception, and the ultimate betrayal of thousands of employees and investors. I still remember my first day at Titan Energy's gleaming Houston headquarters in 1996. The 50-story glass tower dominated the skyline, a physical manifestation of the company's ambition. CEO Maxwell Reynolds, with his charismatic presence and visionary speeches, had transformed a traditional pipeline company into an energy trading powerhouse worth $70 billion. "We're not just an energy company," Maxwell told us during my orientation. "We're creating the market of the future. Anyone who doesn't understand our business model simply isn't smart enough to grasp it." That should have been my first red flag, but like everyone else, I was dazzled by Titan Energy's reputation as America's most innovative corporation. The company had received Most Innovative Company in America awards for 6 consecutive years. Wall Street analysts couldn't praise us enough. I was assigned to the Financial Reporting Division under CFO William Harris, a cold, calculating man with piercing gray eyes, who always wore immaculately tailored suits. William was Maxwell's right-hand man, the financial wizard who turned the CEO's ambitious visions into reality, or at least the appearance of reality. My first 2 years were exhilarating. The stock price tripled, and our quarterly employee celebrations became increasingly lavish. At the 1998 Christmas party, the company rented an entire island in the Caribbean. Rock stars performed private concerts while executives arrived in helicopters. Then came my first glimpse behind the curtain. In early 1999, I was reviewing financial projections for a power plant project in India when I noticed something odd. The projected revenues seemed wildly inflated. We were claiming future earnings of $250 million on a plant that hadn't even been built yet. I raised my concerns with my immediate supervisor, Jessica Martinez. "It's just aggressive accounting, Michael," she explained with a nervous smile. "We mark to market. We book the profits now for contracts that will pay out over time." But this wasn't just aggressive accounting. The projections assumed that energy prices in India would triple within a year, something no reasonable analysis supported. When I pressed further, Jessica became defensive. "Look, the executive committee has approved these projections. William himself signed off on them. Do you think you understand the business better than they do?" I backed down, but the incident left me unsettled. Over the next year, I noticed more discrepancies. We were creating elaborate special-purpose entities with names like Cheetah Partners and Raptor Investments. Complex structures that seemed designed to keep debt off our balance sheet and inflate reported profits. The culture at Titan Energy actively discouraged questioning. Every quarter, managers ranked their employees, and the bottom 15% were fired in what became known as rank and yank. The threat of termination hung over everyone. Those who raised concerns disappeared from the company, while those who facilitated the deception were rewarded with massive bonuses. In 2000, I was promoted to oversee financial reporting for our online trading platform, Titan Online, which the company claimed was revolutionizing energy trading. During my first senior staff meeting, I met Rebecca Watkins, the Vice President of Risk Management, whose tired eyes suggested she carried the same concerns I did. After the meeting, Rebecca invited me to coffee at a small cafe 3 blocks from the office. "Never discuss anything sensitive in the building," she advised. "They monitor everything." Over coffee, Rebecca confirmed my worst fears. "Titan Energy's true financial condition is nothing like what's in our public reports," she whispered. "They're using these special-purpose entities to hide billions in losses and debt. The trading profits aren't real either. They're marking hypothetical trades as complete and booking immediate profits." How is this even possible? I asked. What about our external auditors? Rebecca laughed bitterly. Accounts fear? They're billing us $25 million a year for consulting services on top of their auditing fees. They've become so dependent on Titan Energy revenue that they've essentially become accomplices. But the board of directors, the board has waived our code of ethics multiple times to allow these transactions. Most of them are too intimidated by Maxwell and William to ask questions. Those who do get pushed out. That night I could barely sleep. I'd built my career at what I thought was a revolutionary company, only to discover I was working for what increasingly looked like an elaborate Ponzi scheme. The next morning, I began documenting everything. I created a separate email account and forwarded key documents there. I kept a detailed journal of meetings and decisions. If the house of cards collapsed, I wanted evidence that I wasn't part of the fraud. By mid-2001, the cracks were beginning to show. Our stock had peaked at $90 per share, but had started to slide. Maxwell abruptly resigned, citing personal reasons, and named William as his successor. Internally, cash was tightening. Projects were cancelled, and the lavish parties stopped. In October 2001, we announced a one-time charge of $1.2 billion due to investment losses. The stock dropped to $20. Concerned analysts began asking more pointed questions about our balance sheet. William dismissed them as lacking vision. A week later, Rebecca called in sick. The next day, the company announced she had resigned to pursue other opportunities. When I tried to contact her, her phone number was disconnected. That same day, the Securities and Exchange Commission launched an informal inquiry into our accounting practices. The end came with stunning speed. In November, we restated our earnings for the past 4 years, revealing $586 million in previously unreported losses. The SEC investigation became formal. Our credit rating collapsed to junk status. By December, we were forced to file for bankruptcy, then the largest corporate bankruptcy in American history. TitanEnergy's stock, once valued at $90, crashed to 26 cents. Thousands of employees who had their retirement savings in company stock lost everything. In total, shareholders lost $74 billion, evaporated into thin air. I was among the last employees to clear out my desk when the bankruptcy was announced. As I packed my belongings, I noticed a team from AccountsFear shredding documents in the conference room across from my office. They worked through the night, destroying evidence that might have implicated them in the fraud. The grand facade had collapsed. Maxwell, it emerged, had secretly sold $500 million in Titan Energy shares while publicly proclaiming his confidence in the company. William had orchestrated the special purpose entities that hid billions in debt. Other executives had collected over $700 million in compensation in the year before the collapse. I testified before 3 congressional committees and provided evidence to federal prosecutors. William was eventually sentenced to 24 years in prison for securities, fraud, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Maxwell faced similar charges but died of a heart attack before his trial concluded. Several other executives received shorter sentences, while AccountsFear dissolved in scandal, its reputation destroyed. For me, the aftermath was painful. Despite being a whistleblower, I was tainted by my association with Titan Energy. It took me 2 years to find another position in finance, and at a fraction of my previous salary. The lessons I learned are seared into my consciousness. When a company claims its business model is too complex to understand, it's often because there's nothing to understand. It's an illusion designed to deceive. When dissent is systematically crushed, it's usually because the truth is dangerous to those in power. Most importantly, I learned that financial statements aren't just numbers on a page. They represent real people, Employees building careers, retirees depending on pensions, families investing for their futures. The aggressive accounting practices that executives casually implemented destroyed thousands of lives. 20 years later, the name Titan Energy remains synonymous with corporate fraud and corruption. Business schools use it as a case study in ethical failures. New regulations were created specifically in response to our collapse. As for me, I now teach ethics at a university business school. I share my experience with students, hoping the next generation of business leaders will remember that integrity isn't just a word in a corporate mission statement. It's the foundation everything else is built upon. When that foundation cracks, no amount of financial engineering can prevent the eventual collapse. In the end, Titan Energy wasn't destroyed by market forces or competition. It was destroyed by the hubris and greed of leaders who believed they were above the rules, that they could create profits out of thin air and never face consequences. They were wrong, but their lesson came at a devastating cost to thousands of innocent people who trusted them.